Yeah, Brad writes, I want to ask Lisa for her thoughts on Bufo Alvarius. I don't know what that is. Let me have a quick look up. A ceremony which is undertook in shamanic practice in relation to the nature of consciousness. Dun, dun, dun. Let's have a look. Oh, it's the fog toxins, exude toxins from its glands. Yeah, I don't know much about that. The 20-minute psychoactive toad. FMEO-DMT, the 20-minute psychoactive toad experiences that's transforming lives. This isn't the psychedelic you remember from college. It isn't an 8-hour marathon experience tripping through the woods like Alice. It's fast-acting, short duration, sometimes lasting as briefly as 7 minutes, and is a rocket ship ride into the center of the cosmos. In a recent European study, after one single use, the substance 5-MeO-DMT was shown to produce sustained enhancement of satisfaction with life and easing of anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. When former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson first tried 5-MeO-DMT, also called the toad, he said it knocked him off his feet, profoundly changing his life. I came across this thing called the toad. I smoked this medicine, drug, whatever you want to call it, and I've never been the same since. Tyson said on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast last year, viewed by nearly 10 million people, I look at life differently. I look at people differently. It's almost like dying and being reborn. It's inconceivable. I tried to explain it to some people, to my wife. I don't have the words to explain it. It's almost like you're dying. You're submissive, you're humble, you're vulnerable, but you're invincible still in all. One single 50 mg vaporized dose derived from dried venom selected from the Bufo Alvarius toad often produce hallucinogenic, boundless experiences within 1 second of inhalation that can last from 7 to 90 minutes and on average last 20. Like Tyson report mystical experiences, many seeing God and often sensing a better understanding of their place and function in the cosmos as a result. Shortly after use, participants tend to be totally clear-headed and 100% back their previous ordinary state. Yeah, beautiful. Mike Tyson. And this is how the hippie movement started, with acid. So I don't know chemically what all of these things are doing. But from my experience of hallucinogenics, I feel like they deactivate that separation in your brain and that constant voice in your brain that's separating you and looking at you and always thinking about you and believing that it's inside here and narrating, and it suspends that, and you go into a oneness experience, which is an experience of not having a character, not knowing the world, not knowing yourself, like a complete oneness experience. Like, so you're totally, depends how much you take, but you're totally, you can't just suddenly sit there and remember Lisa's life or your mother or something. It's like all of that goes. And then what can happen is you're presented with wholeness, and then wholeness can like have some stuff that happens. Like sometimes there's a little journey that takes place, or there's an experience that happens. Like some people go into a like nebula or something, or some people meet God. But generally what's happening is that the separation stopped, and then there's some imaginings that might happen that go along with a oneness experience of like meeting God or something. But the essence of the experience is that there is no separation from everything. This total love. I'm not recommending in any way that anyone does anything illegal or dangerous. No, if you're going to do hallucinogenics, make sure you do it legally and safely. But yeah, I do think that they've been barred from our society by people that believe that they're maintaining order. I can understand that. They believe that if you do these things, then order of society will collapse. But you know, some of these experiences, you know, just so profound and healing and important, and have been done throughout the thousands and thousands and thousands of years, you know, of our ancestors, millions of years of our ancestors. And that profoundly heals and changes things, because when they come back, and everyone comes back, enlightened or not, there has to be a character here in order for there to be functioning, a character coming in and out. So when you're in that experience, the character's completely out of it. So therefore you can't function. You can't suddenly be like, oh, let me just get up and brush my teeth. My teeth need brushing. You don't know who you are. You don't know what a brush is or anything. It's way beyond that. So a character is needed in general day-to-day functioning. And there's a difference between identification with the character, so a belief that the character is who you are and that you are that character, and that character is alive, from this deep rest of knowing that your beingness, that your aliveness, that your presence, and in that the character appears and disappears. And the character to me is not a perfect enlightened being. It's a character which is conditioned within the realms of this society, and will have traumas, will have difficulties, will have conditions from childhood that aren't great. And these things can heal and change, but that's not the point in non-duality. The point is that it's a separation from the character, in a way. I mean, you could also say it's like the end of any separation, but it's the separation from the character being the experiencer. So the waking up is knowing that you are that oneness experience that you had in the trip all the time. Like knowing that, connecting to that there is this oneness experience happening too. But there's also a character that's appearing that's apparently separate. And when that character's there, like you can't like bliss out into like absolute oneness, because you wouldn't be able to function. Yeah. So there's this character that's coming and going, and when you don't have to function, then you can have these oneness experiences, but then when you have to function, then the character appears. And that character comes with its baggage. And you can't live without that character in these current societies. Don't know if it's ever possible. You'd need like full-time carers. And it's completely healing, because it's like a wiping clean. You know, when you're identified with the character, you know, you're always living in this tension of me, my life, and this is happening to me. You know, you're always invested in this stream of thought, of narration of who you are. And it's a breaking of that. It's a collapse of, you know, this holding on to this story of what happened to you at 5 years old. You know, when you're identified, you are that child that was traumatized at 5 years old. And you're acting out now, and you're seeking for freedom in the future, and the future and everything in life is super serious. When there's a disidentification with the character still has its issues, but your essence, yourself, doesn't feel like that character. That character has its perfume that comes in and out, but it's not who you are. Like right now, who is watching me? Who is listening to me? It's not that character. That character is a functioning. It's this consciousness and this beingness that aren't located anywhere. It's seemingly like the beingness is in the heart, but it's also everywhere. Maybe it feels like the consciousness is looking through the eyes, but it's everywhere. And it's empty and full simultaneously. Yeah. So I think in the coming years, hallucinogenics will be used a lot more in healing practices, which I'm so excited about. You know, there's becoming a lot more research in that. Yeah. Thank you for your question.